200 episodes. Today, Doug and I are celebrating by sharing the best of UK travel planning, the tips, the resources, and the advice that will make your UK trip unforgettable.
Welcome to the UK Travel Planning Podcast. Your host is the founder of the UK Travel Planning website, Tracy Collins. Each week, Tracy shares destination guides, travel tips and itinerary ideas, as well as interviews with a variety of guests who share their knowledge and experience of UK travel to help you plan your perfect UK vacation. Join us as we explore the UK from cosmopolitan cities to quaint villages, from historic castles to beautiful islands, and from the picturesque countryside to seaside towns.
Before we get started, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Walks and Devour Tours. If you're planning a trip to London, you'll already know the challenge. There's a lot you want to do and only a limited amount of time to fit it all in. That's where the right tour makes all the difference, because you want experiences that are the best use of your time with more access, less waiting and a deeper sense of the city. That's why we recommend Walks and Devour Tours. They offer walking tours and food tours designed to make your time count, often with early or after hours entry. You'll also be with exceptional local guides who add the stories and context, so you leave with a richer understanding of what you're seeing and a trip that feels genuinely memorable. If you're visiting London as a couple, with family, or you simply prefer a more intimate experience, Walks and Devour Tours also offer private tour options. To learn more, you'll find the link in the show notes. Now let's get into this week's episode. Hi everybody, and welcome to this special edition this week of the UK Travel Planning Podcast, because yes, it's episode 200. I feel like Ryan's our editor. I'm going to ask Ryan at this point. Ryan, can you put some kind of music to go with that announcement, because it's so exciting. So yes, it is our 200th episode. I can't believe I have been chatting away for 200 episodes, Doug.
Just 200?
Yes, just 200. Actually, I'm nearly on 100 on the Global Travel Planner podcast as well, so I'm doing well. Anyway, if you are joining us for the first time this week, welcome to the UK Travel Planner podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Collins, and this week I'm once again joined by...
Me, Doug Collins.
So we are here to help you plan the best UK trip that you can imagine. That's what we want to do. We have tons of resources, including the podcast. We've got websites, uktravelplanning.com and londontravelplanning.com. We've got a YouTube channel, UK Travel Planning, where Doug shares lots of train videos. Doug is our UK train travel expert, aren't you, Doug?
Yeah, I am indeed. Yeah. Plenty of experience. I've been everywhere, literally, in the UK by train.
By train, absolutely. So, as you can hear, both Doug and I are British. I'm from the northeast of England. Doug is from the Midlands.
I am.
So, yeah, we love to help people plan their trip to the UK. So I'm guessing that's what you're here for. And hopefully this episode is going to be useful to you. We're going to go through some of the best tips that we have shared over 200 episodes. Bit of a kind of a chat through. Things that we've had feedback but also sharing lots of tips. So do stick around for this episode, please. And there's a huge back catalogue of other 199 episodes as well for you to enjoy.
That's right.
But we also have a Facebook. We've got a few Facebook groups as well. So I'll put a link to our Facebook groups if you're not in there already, so you can pop over and join those as well. But so we're going to go through a few kind of questions, topics, I would say, that we're going to kind of chat through. First one, though, is I did ask in the Facebook group when I mentioned it for some feedback about what the best tips were that people have got from the podcast. And we got loads and loads of responses, so thanks very much to everybody who responded in the Facebook group. Do you want to know what some of those are, Doug? Should we share them?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So the most common response was actually listen to the podcast. So that was a great one. The best tip people had was that they've been told to listen to the podcast because it was so useful. So thank you guys for that.
That's right.
So some of the tips that came up were grouping things together in London. We kind of we talk about, so you're not wasting your time kind of going from one part of London to another because it takes you time, but to look at the things that you want to do and group them together. Other people talked about meal deals because obviously visiting the UK is pretty expensive. So you can get meal deals from supermarkets. So basically meal deals are where you get a sandwich or a salad, packet of crisps or a piece of fruit and a drink for a set price. I'm actually hoping to start putting some on Instagram, so UK Travel Planning Instagram, showing people on a daily basis the different type of meal deals that I've been buying, because there are so many amazing choices.
That's right.
Really spoilt for that. We really, really are spoilt. So they're really good. Other person mentioned about booking main attractions in advance, because you don't want to, if there's something you really, really want to do, don't leave it till the last minute, because often people will say, oh, do I have to plan things down to the last minute, like to the nth degree? No, you don't necessarily have to plan everything to the nth degree if you don't want to. But if there's something essential you want to see, we would definitely say that you should book it. Train one came through, Doug, planning trains ahead of time. That was mentioned. That was a important tip.
Plan train journeys ahead of time. Plan your itinerary ahead of time.
Yeah.
Look all train ticket options and pass options. So that's always a popular outcome that people have come up with.
Yeah.
Also, not train related was saving money on like National Trust and English Heritage, things like that. So instead of paying individual entry fees, you're paying for a membership.
Yeah.
So if you like looking at castles and things like that, or National Trust homes, you can save some money for that one.
Yeah.
And also day tours can save you money.
Yeah, so they're all things, and also I love this one. This came back from the Facebook group, was to our tip to go and see the Crown Jewels when you get to the Tower of London. Go early in the morning. Go when it opens. Go and see the Crown Jewels, because the lines can get really long. And I've been there and I've seen the queue just go on and on and on and on and on. And I know some people have said, oh, well, we went and we're really lucky and there was no queue, but it's like, I wouldn't gamble on it, because you never know.
No.
Yeah. So that was some of the feedback that we got from the Facebook group. So thank you very much for giving those feedback. As I say, I'll put links in, because we have got a UK Facebook group, a London Facebook group, and a train travel Facebook group. So
we have indeed.
Plenty of options there. Right. Okay. Let's go on to some of the topics. So first topic I thought we'd cover was the question we get asked the most. So bear in mind, this is based on 200 episodes of the podcast, but also obviously itinerary consults, the Facebook groups, emails, and lots of other ways that people get in touch with us. Do you want to start about trains, Dolan? Because I know you get asked a lot about trains. Obviously, is that your specialism?
That's right. Some of the most common questions are, and I've got to be honest, I haven't got a crystal ball, so sometimes not having enough information makes this a little bit tricky. But, quote, what is the best train ticket to? Well, I don't know where you're going. That's makes it a bit tricky.
So
and when you're travelling,
need a bit more information.
So
yes,
I need a little bit more information. And then, what line do I take? Well, if you go from here to there, you probably have only got the choice of one or two lines. It's that misconception or misunderstanding of how the train system works in the UK, the fundamental setup. Because I get the impression that some visitors to the UK believe that individual train operators have their own lines to run trains on.
Yes.
Which obviously is not the case. So they're common questions that come up repeatedly, or variations of that same question. But quite often, yes, I need a crystal ball, because there's not enough information for me to answer. Yeah.
You get asked about train tickets selling out as well, though. That comes up a lot.
Yeah, that's another one. Do the train tickets sell out? Well, no. They will just keep selling more and more train tickets as a rule. Some of the questions and some of the statements we get, or I get, is based on their experience of train travel in a different country. Mm-hmm. So the assumption is that it carries over to the UK. No. The UK, in a lot of ways, is quite traditional, and sort of the way it works is set in stone from many years ago. It was the first country that started with the railways, and I think there's some sort of way it runs and is how it's set up hasn't changed much in the 150 years or 250 years, could be, because that was the anniversary, wasn't it, last year?
Yes.
So it's that old thing, you don't know what you don't know. And I think some people's assumptions as regards to the UK train system needs explaining, needs clarifying. So that's things that come up most often as regards tickets, passes, do the sellout, and the train lines themselves.
a quick pause to thank our sponsor, Walks and Devour Tours. If you're planning a trip to London, you'll already know the challenge. There's a lot you want to do and only a limited amount of time to fit it all in. That's where the right tour makes all the difference, because you want experiences that are the best use of your time, with more access, less waiting, and a deeper sense of the city. That's why we recommend Walks and Devour Tours. They offer walking tours and food tours designed to make your time count, often with early or after hours entry. You'll also be with exceptional local guides who add the stories and context, so you leave with a richer understanding of what you're seeing and a trip that feels genuinely memorable. If you're visiting London as a couple, with family, or you simply prefer a more intimate experience, Walks and Devour Tours also offer private tour options. To learn more, you'll find the link in the show notes. Yep, and absolutely, I know talking about trains selling out, they don't sell out, but you might not get a seat. So book a seat, reserve a seat.
Right.
That would be my tip.
Yeah, reserve a seat, which is also free. That's another point, actually, you just raised there, is the assumption that, same as you do in Europe, is that you will be paying for a seat reservation. In the UK, I will make this perfectly clear, they are free.
Yeah.
If you make it at a staffed train station.
So those are the questions we get asked about trains. I was thinking about generally the kind of questions we get asked, and I think it's quite often about it's about routes. I think about how to get from A to B, or kind of fit these things in, is this doable? I think that's more often we get asked, is this doable? Is this achievable? Would this itinerary work? And that's often, I mean, we do a lot in the video consults where people have put the itinerary together and then we send them to us, because, I'm aware, like everybody is, that there's a lot of AI stuff out there, and you can put your itinerary together with AI, but a lot of it is completely wrong and is not based on any kind of, I don't know where it comes from. Some of it, it's like, what? That's not right. So we're able to check that through. And I think that's quite often, I think that's when we get the itinerary reviews to do the video review, it's about that, just checking it and making sure can work.
Is it realistic?
Is it realistic based on our kind of extensive experience? And I will say again, I am nearly 60. I hate to say that. And Doug, you're not too far off either. So we've got quite a lot of years of experience in traveling around the UK over an extensive kind of period of time as well. So,
that's right,
we've
done
a lot.
I've worked for the railways for many years. So, I mean, I know how it works. Yeah,
done a lot. Being just about everywhere. So we know just it's based on a huge amount of experience as Brits, with that background. So, so we kind of know if it is doable or not doable, or what the situation is. So we do that, which I kind of think takes us on to topic 2, which is the biggest mistake we see travellers make when they're planning their trip. And I know you know what I'm going to say to this one.
Go on.
It's just trying to do too much.
But we're all guilty of that to a degree at times, because your enthusiasm runs away with you. I
know, and I honestly also will try to fit too much into an itinerary, it is that enthusiasm, but it's just, I think it can be. You just can get carried away too much, and you just end up rushing between places and not actually experiencing anything. Also, we have times where it's just not realistic and not doable what you'd like to do. And it's, a list of 50 things to do in London over 2 days is just not going to be achievable. No. You're just not going to be able to do it.
We do know that everybody's travel expectation is different.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Some people want more of an in-depth look at a location. Others, they are more than happy for a walk past or drive past, just have a look at somewhere. And we understand that, don't we? I mean, when we do the consults, we try and get as much information as we can from people as to what their expectation is for their travels.
I think it's still trying to do a lot and not necessarily including your travel time or parking time or getting to and from a train station time into your itinerary. I think that's probably, it's trying to fit in far too many things in a day, which may look like it's workable on paper, but actually when you start adding in kind of those transfer times or trying to get parking can be really difficult, then that can be, an error that we see happen quite often. And then also like not giving yourself some time for some flexibility or spontaneity, or when the weather, great British weather, can kind of step in. So sometimes it's good to have a kind of plan A and a plan B just in case.
Well, it's the practical things as well, isn't it? Things like the actual travel time, the busyness, food breaks and comfort breaks. It all takes time. And, depending where you're staying, your accommodation is, you've got to build in that factor. Say, talk about London is getting in and out if you're staying further out. So it's that realistic look at the itinerary as opposed to the wish list.
Yeah, and not giving yourself any kind of downtime, or because it's tiring. It is tiring.
It is tiring.
I've noticed that my stamina is not as good as it was over the last few years. It's definitely decreased the amount of stuff that I can manage in a day. Before I've just had enough, and I'm like, right, that's it. I'm out of here. I've done as much as I can manage today. And I think it's that. So there's other things I would say is not preparing before you go in terms of physically, because it's demanding the amount of walking that you may need to do, or planning if you have accessibility needs, so that you can put in those breaks, or how you're going to get around, because it is tiring. So that's one thing I would say as well that needs to be considered. And I'm going to throw one, I'm going to kind of change tangent a little bit, but also it's just planning to come and visit London and missing out the rest of the England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, because there's so much to see. I understand London is a big draw, but if you want to base yourself in London, definitely spend time in London, but do some day trips out. Don't please, and I beg this, please don't just stay in London. Go and do at least 1 or 2 day trips out, because you'll see a completely different aspect to the country if you do that.
I think also a mistake that comes up is not always evident at the initial stages, and that's working on travelling to your abilities, whether it's a mobility, whether it's stamina, or just your expectations. You've got to keep it realistic to actually what you are physically able to cope with, because you don't want to be ruining your whole holiday vacation within the first few days because you're exhausted. So it's keeping that sense of reality. Yeah,
it's been realistic, and to be honest, I think I've seen that this trip that my stamina is not as what it was, so I'm kind of like, oh, that's not good. but also being realistic about I've got a lot of stuff on, but I have given myself some flexibility. I really, really, really want to, by the point this episode's come out, I'd like to have gone to Hampton Court to go and see the tulips, because the tulips are fantastic in April, but I'm really struggling to fit it in without knowing that I'm going to have an exhausting day. So if you're having
I like what you're saying there. Yeah. You're saying that basically you need to do some training before you go on holiday.
Yes, just to be able to, because I probably didn't do enough just walking, just doing some extra steps every day just to give myself a little bit more of the stamina. So I'm kind of suffering a little bit from that. So that's probably a mistake that I made, actually, not preparing as well as I thought I had. Because I've been sitting on my bottom doing a lot of podcasting and work on the websites. So probably I need to be doing that a little bit more. But I think it's just being aware of that it can take a lot out of you. So it's just prepare yourself for that. I know you said about you've already talked about the UK rail system, that often people have a bit of misconceptions with that as well.
Yeah, I think a bit of homework, or talk to me, or the Facebook groups, is just to get an understanding as to how it's set up. I mean, I know we have our ebook, A Guide to UK Train Travel, which the feedback is that's proves valuable addition to a lot of people's travel plans, because it's all laid out there how the system sets up and how what sort of types of tickets or passes are available. But that sort of homework, if you like, does reap its rewards at the end, because you're not totally unaware of how things work. Because the London terminus train stations, well, the underground and the mainland train stations, terminus stations, they are very busy places. And if you arrive totally cold without any knowledge at all, it can be quite overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So I think it's probably not preparing enough is kind of what we're saying with that one. So it's kind of preparing yourself, being realistic about what you can achieve, looking at your plans and figuring out what are your must do things that you want to do, and then planning around that, and just giving yourself a bit of leeway, a bit of downtime, so that you can, enjoy your trip and getting outside of London.
And that's true. One other broad point
Yeah.
I'll just add on there as well, and I know this will resonate with you, Tracy, is the fact that we talk to people who have already talked to lots and lots of people. They've looked on so many different resources, and these are not our words. People come back and say they're more confused now than they were before. They've not talked to the right people, and that has come out how many times? I mean, you can answer that. I don't know. But
Quite
so
often,
many times.
Quite often, yeah. It's very easy to get overwhelmed. So we have got actually an itinerary planning challenge. So I'd have a look on the website, subscribe to what we've got. We've got some. You could do the challenge if you subscribe to our email list. You'll get access to that, and you can try out that just works you through. And we've done that with video, and there's a little work booklet just to try and make it less overwhelming as well with what you do. And obviously we've got quite a few podcasts which will help with that. So I think it's just preparing yourself, but figuring out what resources you're going to use to do that. So obviously we're going to say, our UK travel planning stuff, it's all there. We're trying to give you everything that you need to plan your trip. And just doing that little bit of research, and then preparing yourself for the type of trip that you want. Because at the end of the day, it's not my trip, it's not Doug's trip, this is your trip. You know what you want, you know what you want to see, you know what you're able to do and what you're able to fit in. But still, if you're, we can still help you. If it's unrealistic, and we've done lots of consults and we've done video reviews where I said actually that's not going to work. It's even if you're a super marathon runner, you're still going to be able to not be able to do those 50 things in London in 2 days. It's just not possible. So
and it's also budget as well.
Yeah,
you have to, it's not just about time and ability. It's actually you're working within a budget, particularly in these times, and you want to get the best for your money when you're traveling. So we help with that as well, and sort of help you prioritize and get the most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Now, let's move on to topic 3, which is the destination that surprised us the most. Now, obviously, Doug and I have done a huge amount of traveling around the UK, and if it's a place that I haven't been to, Doug's been to, and vice versa. But
if the train goes there, I've been.
I know. So I guess the destination that surprised me the most, and I'm kind of thinking in recent years and recent travel that I've done, is just how much I've always loved Scotland. I made no secret of that. I just love Scotland. But I absolutely love the Scottish Islands. Now, I love Skye. I'm not going to say I don't love Skye, but Skye is just over touristed now. There's just everybody wants to go to Skye, and it's become crazy popular. And there are other amazing islands to visit. So Doug and I visited the Orkney Islands a few years ago. I can't wait to go back. Absolutely cannot wait to go back. I loved the Orkney Islands. And I was actually lucky enough a couple of years ago. Doug doesn't like boats, so he didn't do this trip over. But I went over to Mull.
I like boats.
Yeah, well,
boats don't like me.
Yes, that's true. I went over to Mull and the island of Iona and Staffa, and it just left such a huge impression on me that actually by the time this episode has come out, I will have been on this trip. But I have planned. Doug's not coming with me, so I know he's very sad about this, but I'm actually going to have been to the islands of Lewis and Harris, and I'll be going back to Mull and Iona. Actually, I'll be with a friend of mine on Lewis and Harris. We're doing a driving trip up there. But then after that, I'm spending 5 days on Mull and Iona on my own, exploring those islands. And I think I actually surprised myself just how much I absolutely love those islands. Iona is funny. It's kind of, there's something about Iona's that stayed in my soul, I have to say, since I was there. And I'm very much looking forward to exploring Iona. There is going to be a podcast all about that trip coming out at the end of May. So listen out for that. So I think that surprised me the most. But I know you're going to talk about trains, aren't you, Doug?
I am going to talk about trains, unusually, but I want to mention one particular train line, and this is the Settle Carlisle line. Now, anybody who's travelled extensively around the UK by train will know the Settle Carlisle. It is the most beautiful, most scenic line, I think, in England. When travellers to the UK want to travel through Wales, the scenic railways and the preservation lines, in Scotland, the West Highland line and the Highland Main line, they know pretty much what they're going to expect. Because there's plenty out there, plenty of information regards all of those. But the Settle Carlisle, I'm not particularly big fan of the term hidden gem, but I really think the Settle Carlisle line is a hidden gem train line, because it's a wow line, because people have few preconceived ideas to what to expect. Go through the Yorkshire Dales and into Cumbria. But afterwards, the feedback is always, and most of for the first time, it's, wow, this line is absolutely fantastic. It is marvellous. Wes, one of our listeners, this is aimed at you, because you're one of those people. You went up there walking as well. You stopped off and you went to the various different parts of the line, and it is just one of those lines, one of those extra special lines in the UK, which is, people say, which side of the train is best to sit on? It doesn't matter. It's beautiful both sides. It's like going to the West Highland line. It doesn't matter. It's beautiful both sides of the train. So, yes, I would say that is one line that does amaze people. And it's always a shock because they're just not sure what to expect. So, and it's one of my favourites as well.
I have to say, I love the fact that, after many decades of UK travel, whether that's by train or just travel to destinations, is that there are still places that just surprise and delight us. And I will mention it again, because I mention it just about every episode. But what in London, I was very knowledgeable about quite a lot of the museums because I've been visiting since I was a child, but I'd never been to the Victoria and Albert, the V&A museum, until a few years ago. And now, as you'll probably know if you're a regular listener, it's my favourite museum anywhere in the world, and I'm quite happy to spend hours in the V&A exploring it because I love it so much. So I think Doug and I are privileged. I have to say that because we have the UK travel planning and that's what we do, and that we are able to I guess indulge our love of the UK by going and exploring it, and so we can share or just delight and share love of the UK with you guys. And I'm looking forward to the next place that I visit in the UK that surprises and delights me, and then we can share it with you guys on the podcast.
Definitely.
Right, now topic 4, because we wrote some topic ideas down for this episode. That was the next one was kind of myths about UK travel. So things that we again, I guess it's things that people kind of bring up, and I'm going to talk first with this one because it's about food, and I love food and I like British food. Is that British food is bland and it's all brown and it's tasteless. I'm going to challenge that, because actually British food is not. There's so much regional variety. There's so much tasty, amazing food. Yep. There's some wonderful experiences to have. You've got to have a Sunday roast. Again, I'm going to do a whole podcast episode talking about the Sunday roast and just the tradition of it, where to get the best ones, what you should try, and some tips about Sunday roast. The other one, afternoon tea, absolutely adore afternoon tea. Both Doug and I we both love our afternoon teas, don't we?
We're definitely. I'm also going to mention regional food as well. I mean, I'm not just Wales and Scotland, but Cornwall got their own food.
Yes.
The northeast of England got their own. Yorkshire, the specific foods per area. And I'm not going to give anything away because, I mean, I could mention Cornish clotted cream. I mean, it's just
Yes.
Fantastic. But,
Cornish pasties.
Nice Welsh cake as well. I mean, don't get me started. But it's that embracing that there's some beautiful food out there. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to mention fish and chips.
Fish and chips, Sunday roast. I mean, we both love haggis, neeps and tatties when we go to Scotland.
We certainly do. A decent Cornish pasty. I mean,
yes.
where do you...
Scotch egg. Oh, my goodness, Scotch egg.
Scotch egg.
So my tip for this is, honestly, come with an open mind to British food, because I think you may be pleasantly surprised.
I think so.
Because we have some fabulous, fabulous dishes. Now, my tip for this, absolutely, is if you're going to be in London, do a Devour food tour. And I'm not just saying that because I love Devour, I really do, and I work with them, but just because it is also such a fantastic introduction to some of the best foods. I've just done the ultimate London food tour, Borough Market, with Devour at the weekend, and it was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I've also done the Taste, Tales and Traditional Ales pub food tour and history tour of London as well with Devour, which is fantastic. And you get to try pork pie, you get to try Scotch egg, you get to try some drinks. And you also learn about the history of some of these pubs that have been around hundreds and hundreds of years.
Just going to say that. It's not just about the food and drink themselves, it's the history behind them, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So you learn about the history, you try the foods, and drinks. You learn a lot as you're walking around. And also, I would do that at the very beginning of your tour as well, if you can, because you're going to find out what sort of foods to try and the best places to get it from. And if you do that pubs tour, honestly, you'll be going back to some of those pubs for sure, for a few drinks. So that's my thing. Is I think the myth about visiting the UK is that you're not going to get any decent food. That is just wrong, because you are going to get some delicious food. I'll let you go now.
Totally agree with you. Well, I'm talking about some of the myths as regarding train travel in the UK. One thing that comes up so many times in the train group is the trains are always on strike in the UK. I chose my words there with care because that's one that comes out. I'm going to be really pedantic and say, sorry to tell you, but trains do not go on strike. It's just some of the people that work on them. And that is not all the time. Yes, unfortunately, yes, there seems to be a constant or nearly constant threat of strike action or work to rule somewhere along the line, no pun intended. But vast majority of the days, trains are running. Yes, it has its issues. Yes, it's not always perfect. But you know what? I love train travel. And I know so many other people that love train travel. You know, whatever it throws at you, you're going to have majority of them are going to be good days. You're going to have days that aren't particularly great. But, you know, embrace it, go with it, make the most of it. So that's one about the trains. But also, I've already mentioned, we get told that seat reservations you have to pay for and trains sell out. I have to shatter both of those myths. Trains do not sell out. They will continue to sell tickets, even if it means you're having to stand up and no seat, because you're not buying a seat. You're buying a ticket for that train.
You're buying room on the train, but not necessarily somebody to sit down.
if you're lucky, yeah. Seat reservations, and I've said this before, they are free in the UK. And one that amuses me, this came up actually a week or so ago when somebody said to me, well, train travel in weekends in the UK is very quiet, isn't it? Nobody travels.
Yes.
I went, no, that is not true. Train travel at the weekend is very busy, exceptionally busy. A lot of people travel by train for leisure in the UK.
Absolutely. But also, I'm going to say it's worth checking if you've got any plans, because I've just been into London this last few days, and there is often works on the line on a weekend. So, for example, for myself, the district line wasn't working this last weekend because of engineering work. So I just had
part
to
of it,
plan part of it, not all of it, but plan bus. So we just got by bus or planning an alternative route.
That is the thing. When particularly train travel it's usually coordinated to a degree, and the fact that there is another route possibility, and if there isn't. With trains, they tend to put on a replacement bus service or coach service. In London, when you're talking Transport for London services, they do usually coordinate it that there is generally a means to get somewhere, whether it's bus or train or Elizabeth Line, which is not part of TfL, but they do coordinate travel pretty well. And if all else fails and you've got doubts about whether your plans actually work, ask me or ask one of our moderators in the group. We've got good knowledge and we'll be able to help you out.
Brilliant. Okay, so topic 5 is... I was kind of hoping to get the best tips from 200 episodes. Now, if you listen to the podcast weekly, you'll know that if I have a guest on, the question I always ask them is, what's your number one tip to share with somebody visiting a particular area or visiting the UK for the first time? So obviously there are lots of tips. I've probably got nearly 200 tips. And there's lots of fantastic tips in there, and probably at some point I will try and collate them all, but I didn't have time, unfortunately, because I'm in the UK at the minute, so doing a lot of travel myself, so didn't have time to go through all 200 episodes and get the best tips. But I just thought we would mention some of our top tips, I think, that we kind of come up with when we're helping people plan their trips to the UK. So I'm going to start with London. I think we've written a few down, so I don't know, Doug and I'll probably share going through these. For London is, again, don't overplan. Do book the things that you want to see, though, because some things may sell out. And don't underestimate the time that you need to visit every attraction. I do not pay to go in the Tower of London and spend 10 minutes in the Tower of London, for example.
Absolutely true.
Give yourself a few hours. You're paying to go in these places. So, don't skip from one to the other. And the other, actually, somebody mentioned this to me in the Facebook group as well, when I'd said to them, is like, don't just walk past places, go inside. Somebody told me a few years ago that they were in London and they saw the Tower of London. Yes, they saw it from the outside, but they didn't actually go in. And what a miss. What a massive miss. You should go in. You need to go in and find out and learn and have a look around and appreciate it rather than just look, because you don't see anything from the outside, really. So that's my same. Westminster Abbey.
You are seeing history, though. You are seeing history. And if that works,
I know what you're going to say. If that works, but I would still say, please, if you're going to be in London, and I know you want to do a whistle-stop tour, and maybe you want to drive past a few things and see a few things from the outside, do go into a few. And the Tower of London would be the number one, I would say, to go inside.
I do agree with you there. Yeah, maybe have one quality over quantity of several places. That's
actually a really good tip. Quality over quantity anytime. Absolutely. But that's how we travel. Yeah. I would prefer to have quality rather than just ticking off lots and lots of different places.
We want both.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. Wouldn't it be good? I'm going to give one for Scotland, is don't drive in Edinburgh. If you can avoid it. And if
I was going to say, make sure you try haggis. That's what I was going to say.
Well, I agree with that one as well. But, don't drive in Edinburgh, please. Just, if you've got a car, if you are, you're going to look for somewhere that's going to give you parking, because I think we've driven in Edinburgh a few times, generally because we've picked a car up in the centre of Edinburgh and went, oh, this wasn't a very good idea. Actually, I'm going to second that with, I say don't drive in Edinburgh. I'd rather drive in Edinburgh than drive in London, which you could not pay me enough money to do at all.
No, that's absolutely true. Yeah, I'm going to mention one for trains, and that's look at all the ticket options and pass options. Plan your route, and then talk to me or talk to, because we could save you time and money.
Yeah, true.
To be honest with you, and we'll make the whole experience better for you. Plain and simple.
It's like, as I say, it's best to kind of talk to the experts and ask the people who know.
Oh, most definitely.
And it can save you some time or money.
Most definitely.
I'm going to go back to food, because, of course, I'm going to go back to food. Embrace things that are different from what you're used to. So, the food may be different. Culturally, there's things that we do differently. If you listen to a couple of episodes ago, we talked about 12 things that may be a bit confusing about the British, so that might be a useful one if you haven't listened to that, to take a listen to that. Saving money is another thing that we talk about quite often. So things like meal deals, getting memberships, National Trust, English Heritage. I will say that we have got an article about all these different ones. And actually, if you're in the States or in Australia, sometimes it's cheaper to look at something in your own country that will work worldwide, that you can use in the UK.
Yeah.
The other one, obviously, we're going to talk about is considering, take a day tour out, take a tour so that you can sit back and relax, because it's not fun sometimes if there's one designated driver and they're just doing all the driving and they're not being able to sit back and enjoy. So we work with some amazing private driver tour guides, and we work with some amazing family-run tour companies too, which we, a lot we've negotiated reductions for you. So we've got promo codes to get 5, 10, 15% off some of them. So do check those out. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. We work hard to get those deals, and we make sure that all the companies we work with and people we work with are just fantastic. We love them. They're amazing. And the feedback we get all the time is how great they are.
There really is. I'm going to add on to that about tours is the fact that it may sound like a strange thing to say, but going on a tour can actually save you money. If, for example, you wanted to have a few days around, maybe, so use Cotswolds as an example, you've got to hire a car, pay for accommodation, and visit half a dozen places. A tour may be the perfect solution, because you could do that in a day or 2 days if you're on a couple of tours, and you'll cover more ground than you would be in hiring a car and paying for accommodation, and you'll do it at a fraction of the cost.
Well, you're probably going to pay for accommodation if you're on a tour as well, but at least you're not paying for the petrol and the parking or struggling to get parking. Yeah, and also you learn more. Days. Yeah.
That's right.
You learn more as well because you're with a guide who knows the area. So just make the most of it.
Yeah. And the speaker is the one that does most of the driving when we're there together, is potentially gives you drivers a day off, like you said.
Yeah, exactly, giving people a break. So I think that kind of cover. As I say, there's lots of tips shared in the Facebook group as well, so check that out. But if you listen to the episodes regularly, you know that at the end of every episode, somebody shares a very useful tip of something they've learnt from their own trip over to the UK. Right, so topic 6. I'm going to move us on swiftly, is the episode that meant the most to us personally. And now I can't answer this. I genuinely sat down and thought about it. And I love talking to all of you after your trips for your trip reports. I just love it because I love the enthusiasm. I love learning about what you enjoyed and what you did. So the trip report episodes are absolute favourites for me, with every single one of you I've talked to for a trip report. So thank you for that. Also the episodes with our partners as well. I love it when I get one of our partners on. You'll listen to those episodes, and we talk to everybody we work with. That's one of the stipulations. We ask them to come on the podcast and share about what it is, where it is that they're based, what it is that they do, and so that you can get a flavour for their enthusiasm and the love for what they do. So I absolutely love that, and I learned things as well because we're talking to experts in particular regions and areas, and so that's always an absolute joy to do. I just don't have a favourite. I just don't, because I love them all. What about you, Doug?
Well, I'm going to go back 2 years. I'm going to say my favourite was, because I've done quite a few train episodes, but this one was about one of my travels. And this was episode 50. I talked about my trip around North Wales. It was all trains and castles, really. But I had the most fantastic time on the whole trip. The weather was beautiful, which for my past visits to Wales, that was unusual. But I loved every single moment of it. I went on how many different railway preservation lines, the Festiniog, Llangollen, and I also visited Carnarvon Castle, Beaumaris Castle, Conway Castle. I just travelled everywhere, but I didn't drive. I used public transport, and it was just such a magical experience to me. It's the most time I've ever spent consecutively in Wales itself, to be truthful. But I met some wonderful people. One particular special person I met, and I mentioned the name, Wendy, where the place I stayed at, and we have been firm friends since then. We keep in touch. But it was just, I learned a lot about the Welsh people, about their views of the English, about their character, and their fierce national pride. It was just absolutely phenomenal. Not to mention huge amounts of train travel, but the whole passion of the people. It was just such an incredible experience for me, and I relayed all that in episode 50. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I kept in touch with people from the different preservation lines as well, so keep in touch with those as well. But it was that's a memorable one, and that's just basically the one that sticks in my mind above all else.
Well, I will link to that in the show notes, Doug. I mean, how privileged are we not only to be able to do all this travel, but to also share it with people as well, to inspire you guys who are listening to this to go and visit these places. So we do a lot of episodes around London because we know that most of you are going to head to London, but we also get to share about our experiences visiting other regions of the UK. So it's been fantastic to talk about actually some of the lesser known places like St Albans or Durham or Northumberland, places that you may not necessarily, if coming from overseas, have at the top of your wish list to visit. So just privilege, absolutely love it. I love the fact that we just have built this fantastic network and fantastic resource to share with the UK travel planning community. So thank you for tuning and listening to the podcast, because I can't wait to do the next 200 episodes. Not sure I'm going to do them on, but we'll plan as we go along. But yes, it's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It really has, yeah. Been privileged, as you say. Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of talk about what's coming next on the podcast, because I kind of briefly mentioned what's happening on the podcast, what's happening generally. So I'll talk a little bit. I know, Doug, you want to talk a little bit about what's happening in the train industry, because that's kind of travel plans, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's coming next on the podcast. So we've got a kind of different slant on how we're going into this. Do you want to start with the trains, Doug?
Yeah, it's a bit of an umbrella term, because started last year but really into effect this year is GB Railways, Great Britain Railways, are basically taking over the rail industry and putting it back into public ownership. So there's going to be changes regards ticketing and train branding and things like that to make it a bit more user-friendly as regards ticketing. That's the intention. That's going to be taking effect from this year at some point.
Brilliant. And there's going to be some new line and stations openings and things going on?
Yeah, there's continuous new stations opened up. Recently around Birmingham, there's some new stations opened up on a reopened line. So there's lines opening up all the time. So just gives me an excuse to have to travel on the new lines, and I've got the new stations.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to enjoy that. I'm sure you are. And we'll be sharing that on the podcast as well, because, So
but also on top of that, when there's new lines opened up, new stations, it gives visitors to the UK using the railways more of an opportunity, more flexibility as regards places they can visit, more places, choice of places to stop as well, where previously there was no rail coverage. There's going to be greater coverage now.
Well, it is
perfect example was North Devon. Yeah, there was the line reopened there as well from Exeter, which gives people opportunity more for train travel into North Devon.
It is quite exciting, because I have to say, like, where I lived in the northeast, where I was brought up, they've just actually recently reopened the train station, which closed in the early 60s. We're seeing more and more. So I think that's really going to be very positive. And I say we'll be reflecting a lot of those in the podcast as well, and and also on YouTube. You do a lot of stuff on YouTube for train travel. So with popping over and having a look. Yeah.
One big one that's going to be opened up in the foreseeable future is the finishing off of the east-west line, and that will be a train line in essence from Oxford to Cambridge. The various stages are already open, but the full line will give great flexibility of that train travel between the university cities.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Absolutely, that is.
Yeah, that is an exciting one.
Yeah. And also, so we're talking about the podcast. I'm going to kind of swing away a bit from talking about train travel, because I know you do that all day. So some new series coming to the podcast in the next few months. I'm going to be doing a little bit about before you visit, a series of things to know before you visit, because we often get asked about that. What do I need to know before I visit Oxford, Cambridge, Bath, York, Edinburgh, Scottish Islands, Liverpool, Manchester, Bristol, Cornwall, you name it, Lake District. So we're going to do a whole series on that. So that's going to be really exciting. In fact, I've just done the Before You Visit Edinburgh one, which will be out in a few weeks' time. Actually, no, it's out next week. I'm also going to do some neighbourhood guides focused on London. Just to talk about the different areas of London, because I think there's a little bit of confusion, and also just to give you a little bit more specific examples of, what to do and see in Westminster and some tips with that. I actually have got guides on the London Travel Planning website all about the different areas, so I'm going to bring those onto the podcast. And also I have got a exciting new bonus series that's going to be starting hopefully in September. That's my aim. And I'm going to be doing a bonus episode which will come out on a Thursday at same time, so 10 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It's going to be about what's events and what's happening in London. So it will be a monthly guide to what's coming, what events to look forward to in London, because we know that London is probably where most of you are going to start off. So we're going to be doing that. So probably we'll be doing a beginning of September episode, which will cover November in London. So we're going to try and do a couple of months before, just to tell you what the main events, main things to think about if you're visiting London in that particular month. So that's going to be a brand new bonus episode. So we'll have the weekly episode as normal on a Tuesday, and then the first Thursday of every month I'm going to be doing an episode about what to expect and do and see in London, not for that month, but for probably a month or two afterwards, to give you plenty of time to think if you want to add those things into your itinerary, and things to know as well that might impact your visit. So that's something I thought I'd do, because I know visiting London is probably where most of you are going to start off. So I thought that would be a really useful episode to add in, and also what things to think about booking and doing as well. So that's going to be really exciting. So there will be, so our 4 regular monthly episodes, or 5 if that must be an extra Tuesday in the month, plus the one Thursday new episode about what to look forward to in London. But yeah, I think that basically wraps up our 200th episode. Can you believe it?
Wow, that's good. Yeah. So if you need to know any more information about trains, book a consult. We have our Q&A session, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So that's sorted down there. If anybody planning on visiting the UK for the first time.
Yeah, so we've got a huge amount of resources. Obviously, we've got this podcast now, 200 episodes on the podcast. We have the websites, uktravelplanning.com, londontravelplanning.com. So pop over to the websites. We've got a YouTube channel with building our subscribers. That's doing really well. So that's UK Travel Planning on YouTube. Obviously, we're also on Instagram. So yeah, follow along. There you'll get all those resources there. We also have an email list, so subscribe to our email list. We'll put a link in the show notes, and then you can get. Now we do have 3 different lists, so depending on whether you're going to go UK generally, London specifically, or train travel, you can have emails specifically for those topics, which will give you kind of advice and information around each of those. So do take a look on the websites, because we do offer some freebies that you can sign up for information. For example, our itinerary planning challenge. We've got a train tips guide, 12 things to know before you travel the UK by train. So it's worth signing up for that. And obviously the Facebook groups, Doug.
That's right. Yeah, we've got a train tips group myself, and have some very, very able and capable moderators to help out in as well. So between us, we have, I think, everything covered. Rail travel-wise.
Rail travel-wise, UK travel-wise, London travel-wise. And obviously we do have consults. You can have a consult with Doug, 30-minute consult with Doug around train travel. We do a video itinerary review. So if you put your itinerary together and you want us to look over it, we do a video review of that. That's a very, very popular service that we offer. And then if you want to have some time with us, to go through your itinerary to start, but we can help you plan your itinerary. You can, we can have a one-to-one. You can book an hour session to start with, and we can go through everything with you. If you need more, that's fine. You can book extra ones, but we've got some open at the moment, one-to-one slots. But if there's nothing when you look at the calendar, just send us an email and we can see what we can do. Yeah. We've done that in the past. We've said to people, we'll try and fit in to around that will work for all of us. So we've got extensive amount of resources. I think we've got everything than you could possibly want.
Well, we have. I'll just mention our ebook as well, Guide to UK Train Travel. I mentioned it earlier, but that is extremely popular. If you're shy and you don't want to talk to us, anybody, you'd be travelling by train in the UK and you have a little bit of anxiety, a bit of stress over it, have a look at the ebook as well. You'll find it a valuable tool to have with you.
Absolutely. Well, I say on the website you'll find links to the products and services as well as well as lots of articles and useful tips. But I think that's a wrap on episode 200. I don't know what the next 100 will be like. So it goes really quick. I remember doing the 100th episode. I can't believe we've just done the 200th. It's incredible. As I say, I will link to everything in the show notes at uktravelplanning.com/episode 200. But otherwise, I don't know, Doug, have you got anything else you want to say before we kind of sign off for this week?
No, don't think so. I think make sure trains are part of your UK adventure.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
You won't be sorry.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I would think that would leave us to say then until next week's episode, which is actually all about Edinburgh, is from myself and Doug.
Happy UK travel planning.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the UK Travel Planning Podcast. As always, show notes can be found at uktravelplanning.com. If you've enjoyed the show, why not leave us feedback via text or a review on your favourite podcast app? We love to hear from you, and you never know, you may receive a shout out in a future episode. But as always, that just leaves me to say, until next week, happy UK travel planning.